Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back with you with another new chapter of Kamen Rider Deku 01. Once again, guys, thanks a lot for the support for this series. It really means a lot, more than you guys know it. If you're coming from that of my main channel, then you know, like I said before, I'm going to try and do Kamen Rider what ifs on that of the channel, on that of my main channel. But for the meantime, I'm mainly sticking to that fan fiction for the time being. So yeah, anyway, let's go with that of a recap. We went over the life of Izuku Midoriya, a quirkless boy who dreamt of wanting to be a hero more than anything. However, no matter what he does or no matter what he do, the world continues to beat him down over and over and over again. The only saving grace in his life was that of his father, who believed in him from the very beginning that he can be a hero, and those around him as well. As Izuku graduates from that of Aldera High School and was planning on going to that of UA University, unfortunately, he failed that of the entrance exam and was never going to get an option or a chance to apply for UA ever again, mainly for that of the hero course. During his graduation, he was soon called by that of his father's best friend, Genbu Yaoyorozu, and that of two other figures, a woman by the name of Kaina Sasumi, and his childhood friend, Momo Yaoyorozu. Driving to that of his family company, it seems that Izuku and Inko had to have that of devastating news, and that news being that their father and husband has been killed. However, at this time, he wasn't idle. Even while being killed, he was mainly working on a project for his son, and his son alone, making him into a Kamen Rider. As the company building is basically being attacked by that of members of the Meta Liberation Army, Izuku is given the Kamen Rider 01 driver and one of its pro keys, as this would be his task: defeat the villains and save everybody in the building. As he just does that, as he finally becomes Kamen Rider 01. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Chapter 2, Jump, Little Hero. As Izuku and out of the main lobby already becoming Kamen Rider 01, as even though everything in the building's on lockdown, however, in that of the main meeting room of that of the higher-ups of coding industries, mainly being Hisashi's, Kenta, Korobe, and Genbu's meeting room office, still has power and full access to that of the building systems, as it's mainly a precautionary system just in case anything bad happens. As seen on the monitor, Izuku in his Kamen Rider suit, with everybody in the room completely and utterly shocked, except that of the closest friends of Izuku's father. With Inko, as tears are basically gathering in her eyes, couldn't help but say, "Izuku, that's my baby?" With Korobe couldn't help but smile, saying, "Looks good on the kid. You and your team really outdone yourself, Kenta." Within the pink net, Hatsune couldn't help but basically scratch his cheek, saying, "Can't give me all the credit. You and your quirk did most of the heavy lifting." Not to mention Genbu basically making sure that our finances were still intact. "Hey, are you still mad about us going over budget a few times?" With Genbu not saying anything while still looking at the screen, saying, "Okay, yeah, you're pretty mad, aren't you?" With then Genbu sighing, saying, "Look, the point is, the project worked, which also means the others will be ready as well." As all three of them couldn't help but nod at that, before looking back. As for Mei and Momo, as they see their childhood friend, Momo could help say, "Izuku, that's what a Kamen Rider looks like?" As for Mei, she's still having that of sparkles in her eyes, saying, "Look at Izu! Oh my god, I've never seen such an awesome suit! He's gotta let me see it. He's gotta let me design it. I want to see if I can make any hero costume like that." Being grabbed by that of the cheek, by that of her uncle, saying, "Nah, no chance in hell, Mei. You are not making anything similar to that of the Kamen Rider suit." But then, letting go of her as she winces in pain and rubbing that of her sore cheek now, saying, "Why not?" But then, Kenta sighing before looking down at his niece saying, isn't it obvious? That entire suit was made for Izuku and Izuku alone. No one, and I mean no one, is going to be switching his suit. And that's final. There can only be one Kamen Rider 01. You promised Sasashi that's for damn sure. I'm not going back on my word on that. After saying his piece, that's when May couldn't help but see the look on that of her uncle's face, as he's seen that look so many times growing up. That's the look of he's not budging one bit. Before huffing, saying fine. Before then going back to her usual chipper grin and smile, saying, but even so, I could at least get some, data and data to at least try and help out that if he's Izu, right? But then Kenta saying, oh, definitely, sure. I need that of a younger point of view just to see on what on what the suit can do, after all, in a more imaginative look, too. But then, hearing that, everybody in the room couldn't help but sweat drop. With then, Dabi saying, man, they're really a riot, aren't they? With then, soon, Gorobei can help but say, you have no idea. But even so, if this trial run works well, and that means... With then, Dabi saying, I know, right? Let's just hope it works, and he can take out those villains with no problems. With Mount Lady still in the room, as she couldn't help but think, so we're really just gonna let a vigilante basically take care of those villains? We're gonna let a kid basically fight? This doesn't feel right. Why let an 18-year-old do this? As she's saying what's on her mind, that's when Sasumi is basically standing right next to her saying, because we're going to allow a boy to achieve his dream no matter what anyone says. And if you get in his way, just let you know, losing your agency is going to be far worse of your problems. Got that, you newbie? But then, hearing that, Mount Lady can help but get annoyed saying, who the hell are you calling a newbie? It's not like you're some kind of pro saying, I was a pro once. But then saying, wait, seriously? So you're retired? It's a long story, and I'd rather not get into. Just watch and see see how that quirkless boy that you're worried about takes care of things. With then, look back in that of the lobby, with everybody still seeing that of the green net boy, as he still stands there, ready to fight. As for that of the rhino heteromorph, he couldn't help but get annoyed saying, enough of this shit! Just because you're wearing a fancy-ass suit, kid, doesn't mean a damn thing! You're still an abomination of a quirkless being! Running towards Izuku at full speed, and about to slam his fist down onto him, Izuku, with only just using that of his left forearm, basically blocks the punch, as it does end up cratering the ground a little bit around Izuku. However, he didn't even feel it, as Izuku could say, wow, I figured that was going to hurt, but it didn't even hurt that much. However, it looks like we may need to switch out the tiles of the floor here in the lobby now. But then, seeing that, the rhino villain can help but say, what? How did you? But then, with one solitary punch to that of the rhino villain's gut, he soon basically begins skidding back, and basically double over in that of pain. However, Izuku didn't stop there, as he basically knees him in the face. Not stopping there, he deals that of a furious blows of punches, before then finishing him off with that of a powerful roundhouse kick to his face, sending him flying into that of the barrier, knocking him out entirely. As the two remaining villains of the Meta Liberation Army are completely and utterly shocked at this, that their heaviest hitter just got knocked out, and that of just a few blows. But then, soon, Izuku saying, now tell me, who's next? As for that of the water villain, he sends that of a huge blast of water from his knuckles. However, Izuku dodges each and every one of the hose shots, however, making sure that he doesn't hit any of the employees or the pros behind him, as he runs towards him, but then saying, stop moving, you quirkless freak! With then, already close in front of him, he deals a powerful knee into that of his gut, before then grabbing him by his arm, flipping him over, before then chopping him in the neck, and to make it fully hurt even more, he basically slams his fist into his face, knocking him out and also breaking his nose in the process. Within that of the Blade villain, as blades are basically jetting out of his arms, as he couldn't help but feel somewhat terrified and scared, as he couldn't help but think, no, this is impossible. This is supposed to happen. We are the quirk individuals. We are the height of evolution. You are a quirkless freak, an abomination, a mishap in genetic evolution. You shouldn't be doing this shit. As, however, the red eyes of his 01 suit basically poured down into that of the man, as he couldn't help but feel even more terrified, saying, "Quirk this, quirkless that." I can tell by the way as you speech, it's those of the Meta Liberation Army. And the Meta Liberation Army wouldn't have just attacked us, and that of this company without a purpose. Let me guess, somebody from that of Aldera, somebody who saw that of my uncle Gembu, works for the Meta Liberation Army. Am I guessing? Or rather, the school is part of it. Am I right? Within hearing that, the man saying, how? He came to that realization? Besides you saying that me and my mother were a target, and also talking about basically destroying my family's company, everything that my father, my grandfather, and my great-grandmother worked for, basically being destroyed by everything that they stand for against those who basically want to tear it down for their own selfish wants, just so they can use their quirks however they feel like it, even if it means hurting innocents. Like hell, I'll basically allow you to do whatever the hell you want. And also, if you ever get back to that of your leaders, tell them this, if you can even remember. Within hearing that, the villain could help but say, "Shut up! Shut the hell up!" As he rushes towards Izuku at blinding speeds, basically on that of pure adrenaline and fear alone. However, Izuku blocks each and every one of his slashes and dodges out of them pretty easily, as the man basically ranting, calling Izuku worthless, useless, a quirkless freak, an abomination on society, a being that should never existed to begin with. As these are all words he's heard all too well growing up. Words that continue to haunt him even to this day. But right now, he's pushing all of those hurtful words, all of those painful memories aside for this very moment. Before then, knocking him back with that backhand hit towards his chest, as feeling a bit of his ribs just got, fractured there for a bit. Before then, Izuku basically flips backwards before pressing down on his driver. Before then, slamming his left foot down, as it soon says, "Rising Impact." At that of blinding speed, as that of light green electricity basically coats around Izuku. Before then, blitzing towards that of the villain, as he sends that of a powerful high kick towards his chest, towards that of his chin, sending him flying. Before then, jumping around that of the lobby, sending that of blow after blow of punches and kicks. Before then, landing another powerful kick on him before jumping as he floats up into the air before coming back down with a powerful energy charged lightning kick, slamming into that of the bladed villain, basically knocking him back, and then slamming him into that of his rhino companion, who was starting to get consciousness back. However, that consciousness basically faded once his partner basically slams right into him, at the same time basically denting that of the UA barrier. Not enough to basically break through, but just enough where you could basically see a big enough hole the size of a torso. With that, all three villains of the Meta Liberation Army have been taken care of and defeated right then and there by that of Izuku, Kamen Rider 01. Then soon removing that of the driver, which also basically deactivates the suit. Before then, using that of the override code to bring down that of the lockdown system, as everything goes back to normal. However, many of the pros and employees just saw that of the CEO's son basically take down three villains. With that, it just basically caused quite a bit of a realization that a new hero has been born, but not in the normal sense. However, at the same time while all this was happening, turns out a lot of the police and pros were also basically outside of the building, finding out that the building just basically went down to lockdown and counting that of several employees who were basically on break at the time. Kinda makes sense on why people would be freaked out. Which soon led to that of Kurobe, Genbu, and Kenta basically explaining things to the police and pros that there were villains were trying to, hold that of the building ransom. However, thanks to that of Kurobe being the number 5 pro of Japan, Nova, he was able to take care of them pretty easily, but he wanted to basically shut the lockdown system just in case, for safety precautions. Hearing that, the pros and the police basically take this as, fact. However, this was just a cover to make sure that Izuku didn't get in trouble for being Kamen Rider 01. As the pros disappear, however, one of the pros stuck around at least a little bit, as it currently being the number 2 pro of Japan, cold-hearted flamehead Endeavor. As he looks back, he couldn't help but see that of Kurobe before narrowing his eyes a little bit, before also walking off alongside that of his sidekicks. However, little did Endeavor knew he was being watched as well by that of the man known as Dabi. Within, he cannot say, even after all these years, you haven't changed, you old bastard. As he walks back into the building. With that, it soon also led to that of everybody going back into the meeting room. Within, Izuku placing the driver and that of the pro key onto the table, saying, "So this is what Dad was making for me. The thing that would make me a hero? Not just any hero, a Kamen Rider." Within, Genbu saying, "Yes, every half of the company's resources basically went into making that for you. We literally went over that of $5 billion just to make that for you. Add that with all the extra functions added to that of the, 01 driver too, and a few other things that we made too." Within, looking back at that of Kenta and also that of Kurobe, as the both grown-ass men were basically whispering, almost trying to look conspicuous and innocent. Within, Genbu couldn't help but sigh before then saying, "All the same, you've shown what you were capable, Izuku. You've shown that you can be the hero that your father believes you are. But you also know, if you choose this path, you also know and you become a hero, you know what the kind of hero that you're going to have to become. Not in the way of the law, but in another." Within, hearing that, Izuku saying, "Oh, right. You're talking about becoming a vigilante. Am I right?" Within, hearing that, the room just went a little bit quiet. Within, Kurobe saying, "Izuku, if you're thinking that you're going to have to bear this burden by yourself, you got another thing coming, kiddo." Within, hearing this from his uncle, that's when Kaina comes up to that of Izuku saying, "Master Izuku, for the past couple of years, your father, Hisashi, hired me to be that of your family bodyguard. My duty is to look after you and Lady Inko as well. With you being a Kamen Rider, which also means my duty is to protect you as well." But then saying, "Wait, I can't have you do that. You'll be in trouble." With then saying, "Being in trouble with the law is nothing new with me, young master. Trust me. I promised that I would protect you and your mother. And my main duty is to always look after you and you alone." As even though her eyes were pretty cold, however, you could see a glint in them, saying that she'll do exactly that. A warm, caring glint, saying she'll do anything to protect him. With Izuku basically seeing that glint, saying, "If you say so, but if anything bad happens, if the pros come our way, I want you to," saying, "if you're asking me to abandon you, you have another thing coming. After all, I wasn't this country's best sharpshooter for nothing, even after being in prison for all these years. Then, hearing that, everybody in the room basically stiffened for a bit outside of that of the main three trio. Within, he's saying, wait, main sharpshooter? Before then, remembering that of a certain pro heroine back then during his early years in middle school. The first pro heroine he had a crush on since he was a kid. As now looking at her, but seeing a little bit more older, but then imagining her a little bit younger, having that of a ponytail, and that of a visor over that of her right eye, before then saying, "Wait, you're Lady Nagant! You're the sharpshooting hero, Lady Nagant!" Within, everybody in the room were completely shocked, with Momo and May can up say, "Wait, she's a pro hero?" Within, Momo saying, "Wait, you were in prison? But what?" Within, soon, Mount Lady saying, "That's what you meant by being a former pro? And calling me a newbie? What the actual hell? You were in prison?" Within, soon, she couldn't help but sigh, saying, "Look, it's a far more complicated than that. If you wish for more details, especially for you, newbie, before you start freaking out and start thinking that Nova over there betrayed that of the heroes and basically allowing a wanted criminal to do whatever she wants, then you better watch yourself." With Korobei spoking up saying, "Couldn't put it better myself, Susumi." With Mount Lady basically pouting, as then the guy known as Dabi can help but basically roll his eyes saying, "Can we just get to the bigger picture and just inform the kid about the situation after all?" Within, Kaina can help but say, "Of course, of course. The reason is that my duty is to look after you, Izuku Midoriya, to be your partner, to protect you, to be your guardian. And not just you, but also your mother as well. My duty has been protecting you from that of anybody who threatens your lives. Surprisingly, you two have had quite a bit of attempted assassinations on your lives a few times here and there." Within, hearing that, Izuku completely shocked, as for Inko saying, "Well, it comes with being that of a wife of a CEO. Even though Hasashi's tried his best to keep us out of the limelight, some people do end up finding us from time to time. Once again, I still have to thank you always for looking out for us, Kaina-san." Within Kaina saying, "Don't mention it. I'm just doing what I can do. And what the late CEO hired me to do as well. But my job still is the same. That hasn't changed. My job is to still protect that of the CEO's family, especially the current CEO." Within hearing that, Izuku saying, "Wait, what do you mean?" Before then, Momo saying, "That's the thing, Izuku. The reason being is that since Uncle Hisashi's passed, he's made a successor. Originally, it would go to that of the board of directors and the vice president for the time being, which would make him CEO. However, for now, he already made a successor." Within, May saying, "Hey, Uncle, you think you could?" Then saying, right, going to that of his seat, typing into that of the holographic table. Before then, soon, showing that of a will signed by Hisashi and written by it as well. As Izuku basically looks at the digital will before reading it out loud, before then realizing, "Oh my god, Dad did all this? He did all of this for me?" As Izuku about to feel that the tears basically welling up in his eyes. Within, even Inko reads it saying, "Hisashi," as she couldn't help but wanting to cry as well about that of her husband and his actions. Within, that's when Korobei heads to the two saying, "Hisashi did all of this to make sure that the company still runs smoothly, even with some minor hiccups here and there. But all the same, to make sure that you can still live your dream as the hero you were always meant to be, Izuku. That also means we gotta get things started. What do you say? That it does revolve around that of yours, you accepting this after all." Then hearing all that, Izuku still about to cry. He couldn't help but basically wipe the tears away. However, they still keep coming, but even so, he has a resolve look in his eyes saying, "Let's do this." Outside of that of the company, from that of another building, basically in that of another city actually, being that of Deku City, which is the HQ of Denra Incorporated, run by that of the CEO of the company, Rikiya Yasuhashi, a basically slick back orange redhead with that of a very long nose that basically makes him look like Doofenshmirtz's long lost cousin, currently in a meeting room with that of several other key individuals. Within him couldn't help but have that of a smile saying, "Now tell me, Slide and Go, how did the mission go well after all?" Within, seeing that of a man in a full-on purple suit with that of a large, chin after all, and quite that of the beady black eyes, as this being the pro hero Slide and Go, saying, "Well, you see, sir, the plan didn't go as well as he thought it was after all, unfortunately." As he couldn't help but sigh at this, within hearing that, the man known as Yatsuhashi couldn't help but still smile. However, you could see a black spot basically materializing over that of the right side of his forehead. Within, soon, that of a man with that of long black hair that basically covers not just his back, but also his eyes, where you can barely even see them, saying, "Figures as much. I told you we shouldn't have let that of our lesser ranked members basically go after them. You should have went yourself, Slide and Go. It would have been so much easier to get rid of them if you just done it yourself, since you're a pro after all. No one wouldn't have been wouldn't have slightly cared after all." Within, that's when a woman with that of light blue skin and that of dark black eyes, with that of her irises being yellow, wearing an orange jacket and that of a blue dress that shows off quite a bit of her curves, saying, "Please, Comrade Skeptic, you're being too harsh. Who thought that they would basically fail? But given that the number 5 pro hero Nova was there was no way that they were going to complete their mission. If we knew he was there ahead of time, we would have possibly taken care of this in a better location." Within hearing that, that's when a man with that of wearing a black suit, with that of slick back black hair, a 5 o'clock shadow, and having that of glasses on, couldn't help but say, "Comrade Curious is right. We should have planned things out a lot more strategically and better than before. But instead, we basically allowed that of Grunts and also one of our lesser members at that of our least cared about school call us in out of nowhere. To think, we wasted that of 3 members, all because to take care of that of one quirkless abomination and one fellow quirk user woman, even though she is the wife of one of our hated foes, though." With then hearing that, Yatsuhashi finally spoke up saying, "Even so, it can't be helped. We'll get our next chance." However, it's not like it matters after all, as everybody looks at that of the man, as he's still smiling, saying, "Coding Industries is done for. It's been weeks, and yet we haven't heard anything from them basically announcing that their CEO is dead. Once the CEO is found dead, stocks will basically fall and plummet, which will lead to that of them getting closer and closer to bankrupt and losing that of interest within that of the company. Sooner or later, the Yaoyorozu conglomerate will basically separate, which soon will allow us to take over Coding Industries, and all of the support gear, contractors to that of Pro Heroes, and many more will be ours. And with that, the Liberation Army will grow even stronger and stronger, and we'll be able to rule this world, and our plans will be accelerated, at least that of 5 more years ahead of schedule." Within hearing this from their leader, as the charisma coming from that of the man who is literally Doofenshmirtz's cousin, basically radiates off of him, as they can't help but actually trust the words of the man after all. Before then, another individual enters, as he wears that of a purplish black suit, long blonde hair with that of several bangs basically covering his eyes, but elegantly, to the point that you could still see his face and eyes properly, is saying, "Which means it makes it easier for us to buy the company. my company will basically take over pretty easily. Within, seeing that of a familiar face, Yatsuhashi can up and say, "Ah, Monoma, thank you for coming, good sir. I'm guessing you have already prepared for that of the offer," saying, Of course. I've already heard from that of the vice president and also the board of directors that they haven't heard anything from their CEO in weeks now, which means the assassin has done their job properly and they were right. Hasashi Midori is now dead. Our biggest competitor is now out of the way. Coding Industries is easy for the pickings. In the coming of days, while they can't keep their CEOs, deaf a secret for too long, I'll offer that of a olive branch to support Coding Industries and Yaoyorozu conglomerate as well, folding them to that of Zion Industries and also that of Detenra as well, and Feel Good Incorporated too. With this chain, we will be able to expand and grow that of our finances and our support gear weaponry. Not to mention, we'll gain that of even more followers from that of our employees and also like-minded individuals within their companies too. And luckily for us, we'll basically cancel all of those pointless, quirkless charities that they've done as well. It's more annoying thinking that we should in the first place. Skeptic couldn't help but say, "And why you say that?" Something my son said. Basically saying that you should keep them going if you want nobody to basically be suspicious of Zion being part of the Meta Liberation Army or something like that. I don't know. The boy is too arrogant and entitled for his own good. The boy even still thinks he has a chance to be a hero. Even though he did get into UA, I give it at least out of a 3 months before they kick him out of UA, and he'll be crawling back to me and his mother. Within Curious, actually quite, with that of her namesake, couldn't help but comment, with that of curiosity, saying, "You're quite strict on the boy as always, and you wonder why he hasn't been, willing to join that of the cause, when you don't show him the benefits of the cause as well." Copy, as the man's codename being Copy, couldn't help but smirk and also scoff at the same time, saying, "It's not my fault that the boy has delusions of thinking that heroism is more important than that of quirk freedom. If he knew the importance of quirk freedom over being a hero, then he would know that by now. But instead, he chooses this delusion, but thinking that heroes are the coolest thing and always looking out for others. Those at the bottom, those who are beneath, those with weak quirks, those who can't stand out over those with power. He should know that those who are weak are the ones who deserve to die, like that of the quirkless. Even those with weak quirks should know their place as well." But that's what I get for letting the boy idolize heroes like that of All Might after all. But my unenlightened son aside, just give me a few days, Supreme Leader, and Coding Industries and Yaoyorozu conglomerate will be ours. That I swear to you. The black spots on his face completely disappear, saying, "Well then, I think our meeting's adjourned. Sliding go, you can go now," saying, "Of course, Supreme Leader," as they all salute, as showing the symbol of the Meta Liberation Army. The very next day, currently at that of Coding Industries, in that of a press conference room that's kind of like the same size as UA's auditorial hall, as a lot of press were basically here, and that of prestigious news channels, basically freelance journalists, blogging journalists, pro heroes, and even that of fellow support company inventors. Hell, even that of the CEO of Detenra being Yatsuhashi, or rather Redestro, is here too, with that of Skeptic. Even the members of that of Coding Industries board of directors who are basically sitting in chairs alongside of the vice president of Coding Industries, as he's basically an unassuming and uncaring man that basically looks boring, the kind of guy that you would see in a crowd and wouldn't think much of after all, as he just has that short black hair, basically a plain looking face, narrow black eyes, and basically a clean shaven face, as he's currently wearing that of a golden business suit that's quite tacky to try and make him look stand out after all. as this is the vice president, Igaru Matsumo. Within, everybody is completely wondering, heck, even that of the few top 10 pros who showed up, mainly from that of Gang Orca, Yarimusha, Wash, Crust, Endeavor, Best Genus, and Edshot are also here too. And also counting that of the UA faculty, who basically buys parts from that of coding industries for their robots for the entrance exam and training their students. From Nezu, from Aizawa, President Mike, Midnight, and also the support studio's teacher and head of the department itself, Higiri Meijima, otherwise known as the pro hero Power Loader, as everybody is curious on what this press conference is about. With soon, even the vice president and the board of directors are wondering about this too. Before then, as opening up from that of the stage, as coming up from that of a platform, being Genbu Yayorozu, having the same stoic and basically uncaring look as always, as this is basically his mask and somewhat of his war face when it comes to looking at vultures like these. As his face of indifference saying, "Thank you for coming. I would appreciate all of you for being here. Today, we have that of important news for coding industries and for the coming future as well." Within hearing all this, he's saying, before any of you ask, please save your questions before I am done with my announcements, after all. As all of this is being broadcast all across that of Tokyo, and also other major cities, and even across that of, news channels too. As the Bakugos are seeing this, alongside that of Mei and Momo, currently in that of the main meeting room, basically seeing this from that of their uncle and father's cheers, with Momo saying, "So, it's really happening. This is all really about to happen." Within, Mei saying, "I know. Aren't you excited, Momo?" Within, Mei saying, "What?" Within, she's saying, "Look, I am excited, but I'm also worried, especially for Izuku. You really think he can handle this?" Within, Mei can help but basically say, "Duh." Within, saying, just like that, saying, "Well, duh. Like I said, you gotta give Izuku more credit. Just because he's quirkless doesn't mean he isn't capable, especially with that 01 driver, which I really want to study and analyze and make my own." But within, she couldn't help but basically slump her head on that of the digital holographic desk before then groaning, saying, "Uncle's such a meanie for not letting me analyze it." Within, Momo couldn't help but laugh, saying, "I can always count on you to make things a little bit lighter, Mei." Looking back at the screen, as Genbu continues speaking, saying, "As you know, for the past 2 weeks, our CEO, Hisashi Midoriya, who has been CEO of this company for almost that of 24 years, has passed away, killed in that of a car accident." Within hearing all this, everybody is completely and utterly shocked and surprised. However, those who were part of the Meta Liberation Army from that of Redestro and Skeptic couldn't help but smirk, but try and make it seem like they're not. As for the pros, they're basically shocked at this, wondering why were they not told about this? Why were they keeping this a secret? With this, thinking that this may have been that of a, assassination attempt, or possibly it was just a mere accident, but even so, given their line of work, and the CEO of this company being high ranking like Hisashi, no way in hell. But then, Genbu can up and say, "Like I said, keep quiet, everyone," as his tone alone basically shut up all of the reporters. But then saying, "It is a great loss losing a great man such as Hisashi, a man who I saw as my childhood best friend growing up. It hurts a lot losing a man who I saw as a brother, deep down, even if we weren't by blood. However, the company must move on. We all must move on." While saying all this, his left hand is basically shaking in that of sadness, tenseness, saying all of this, as he continues saying, "Hisashi Midoriya has already made that of a successor for coding industries, the one who will basically move this company even forward than before. But then hearing that, Matsumo couldn't help but perk up, saying, did Hasashi see the benefit in me? Is he finally going to allow me to take his spot and be part of that of the inner circle? If that's the case, then all that hard work I've done being part of Coding Industries is finally paying off. As he couldn't help but adjust his tie, have that of a look of pure and utter giddiness, like that of a child basically ready for Christmas, before then saying, the one who will be the CEO of Coding Industries and my now partner of that of Yaoyorozu Industries, my own family company as well. I wish to give a hand and welcome the son of Hasashi Midoriya, my nephew, Izuku Midoriya, as the now new CEO of Coding Industries. Within hearing that, Matsumo basically deflated like hell, with his jaw basically dropping to the ground. That of Redestro completely and utterly shocked, with that of Skeptic basically have that of seeing his eyes basically bulge out with his mouth wide open. And as for that of the UA staff, mainly that of Nizu, who remembers the boy, as he had that of one of the top 5 highest scores during the written exam, and the reason on why he basically wanted him into that of the support course, General Studies and Business, especially knowing on who his father was, after all, from the very beginning, couldn't help but have that of a surprised look. Didn't think that the boy would even want the position of CEO at all, given how hard he tried during the entrance exam, even though he didn't make it. As then, entering from that of another rising platform, wearing that of a dark blue business suit, with that of a green blazer under it, having that of a black tie, while his hair still a little messy, but the sides of his hair basically are slicked back to make him look a lot more professional, with even his bangs basically pushed back too, giving his hair more of a spiky look actually, as Izuku having a serious and determined look on his face as he looks down at the crowd, not wavering, not afraid, and not stuttering one bit, or even shaking at all, as Genbu basically claps for that of his nephew and moves out of the podium, before standing in front of it, bringing that of the mic down, saying, "Thank you all for coming, and thank you all. I know that this all may be sudden and all crazy. Believe me, finding out that my father has been dead for 2 weeks yesterday was quite something. It was like a slap to the face, and basically having somebody who has supported me and cared for me since I was born gone right even before I know it hurt a lot. My father has done so much for this company, and I wish to live up to his expectations, to live up to his example on how far he's pushed this company is gone. That's why, as his successor and as the new CEO, I plan on giving it everything I can to improve Coding Industries, not just in that of finances and profit, but to also build a bridge between not just its civilians, but the pros and all of Japan as a whole. I want to reach my hand to everybody here in Japan, from those with that of strong quirks to those with that of weak quirks, with those with that of impractical quirks, and even those who are quirkless as well. To those who don't know, Coding Industries was more than just a support company. It was a coding company, a programming company that focused on improving and elevating technology. And that's exactly what Coding Industries is going to continue doing. Excel in improving technology for not just that of pro heroes and civilians, but for day-to-day activities and lifestyle as a whole. So that's why, as the newly minted CEO, I will be supporting UA support course and Shiketsu University Academy's support course as well. My company technology will help in the improvement of both of the most prestigious, iconic, and well-respected hero universities. I wish to invest all my time and effort improving that of the technology of hero schools, and then improving in that of day-to-day lives of the common people as well. That is my plan, and the future of Coding Industries is aiming for. After saying that, that's when the crowd of reporters basically went wild. asking question after question for that of Izuku, as Izuku tried his best to answer while he can. However, certain individuals in that of the hall were both excited, curious, and also pissed as hell. Outside of that of the, press conference hall, many civilians not really caring about what's going on, basically walking around, while some not so much and are kind of interested on what Izuku's capable of, especially that of a certain blonde-haired boy walking around with that by himself. Couldn't help but basically smirk before walking off. However, in that of the Bakugo residence, Bakugo just came back from basically training once again, getting ready for UA in the next week or so, until he saw the press conference on the TV where his parents were basically watching in that of the living room. As he didn't really care until he heard everything that Izuku said. While his parents were basically congratulating and basically looking forward to what Izuku does, Bakugo, on the other hand, was absolutely livid for one reason only: Izuku lying about him being rich. In his eyes, he believes that Izuku was basically lording over him his wealth and fortune over his head, belittling him. It just makes that of the Ashen Blonde even more pissed, as he couldn't help but basically scoff at this before basically stomping his way to that of his bedroom. However, that's when Mitsuki basically yelled at him, saying, "Katsuki, stop stomping! Idiots! You weren't raised in a barn, damn it!" Saying, "Shut up, you old hag!" Before entering his room as he's about to slam the door. However, he doesn't. Before then, he couldn't help but just grunt out that of a "damn it." Back with Izuku, as he tries answering as many questions as he can, as this is truly the beginning of his journey as the CEO of Coding Industries and being Kamen Rider 01. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me in the comments below. I'd love to read them. So, what do you guys think? Honestly, this has to be my personal favorite chapter I made for the early on in this fan fiction after all. I'm actually kind of proud of it a lot. But we're basically entering that of neutral territory, so a lot of things will not be focusing a lot on UA and other things. And if you haven't guessed, yes, the first main antagonist of this story is the Meta Liberation Army. So we're basically be dealing with a lot of racist, quirkish bastards after all, but nothing that a Kamen Rider can't handle. Not to mention a lot of other things too. Letting you guys know this now. As much as I love this story, I probably won't be doing it a lot. Good and flowing narrative after all, and not make it feel like Izuku's basically getting W's easily after all. I also want to be 100% honest with you guys. I probably won't be doing the whole Kamen Riders versus Kamen Riders trope. I know, that's blasphemy after all, especially coming from somebody who just started Kamen Rider. But I don't want that trope to just be the main thing. I mean, we may have some Kamen Rider fights here and there, but not all of them. Some of the Kamen Riders in this would be a unified team, or I'm going to at least try and make them a unified team. But that aside the point. The point is, I'm still going to continue doing this, just slow updates coming here and there. So yeah, at any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, keep to date my videos uploaded on the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my main channel, my other channel, my Patreon, and my Cash App. All linked in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later guys, and hope you all take care.